Welcome back to day two of Women's Empowerment Summit. Ignite Your Confidence. I am confident. You enjoyed Catherine yesterday. She was great, and I'm excited to introduce you to tonight's presentation on finding self with Beverly Zimet. Beverly is an international author, speaker, business owner, and show host. She works with people who are ready to reinforce confidence, trust, self-belief, and success in exposing their business and story through the eyes of the camera. Beverly guides you in removal of worry, fears, anxiety, and doubt to be an expression of your true self and fulfill your purpose in life. She has spoken on stages with Bill Walsh, Angel Tussey, Les Brown, Manny Lopez, and Michelle Faust. Beverly frequently appears on podcasts, internet, radio, television, magazine, and currently appears on stages in the avatar world of virtual reality. So get ready to be inspired, gain confidence, and be the best you as Beverly moves you to the stage to reveal your purpose, change lives, and define your destiny. Let's give a big welcome to Beverly Zimet.
Hello, everyone, and wow, this summit is amazing, isn't it? You've only had one day, and this is day two, and we have nine more to go, eight more to go. My math isn't so great today, but I'm telling you, it's such an honor to be a guest on the Women's Empowerment Summit for 2020. And these amazing speakers I've had an opportunity to work alongside of. Wow, you guys are so much in for a treat. And this confidence thing, the F word. Oh my goodness, my F word is finding you, right? Maybe I should say finding me, because that's what it's all about, is finding the self. And that's kind of what I want to touch on, is how my journey took me from losing my identity to have to recapture it and finding other ways to make life be the life that I chose. So I grew up in the Midwest on a farm a very long time ago. I was second oldest of 11 children, and I was a rebel. From day one, I was that little rebel. Let me tell you, if anybody was going to get in trouble or find a way to get in trouble, I had the trophy, the t-shirts, and everything. So there was all different ways during my life. I had to find another way. And one of the ways that I used my intuitiveness as a child, I didn't know it was different than anybody else, because it was just what I did. I got picked on a lot, teased a lot, did a lot of fighting, come out on the raw end of the deal a few times. But, for me to get back at her, to get even with, how kids do that, right? I could instigate, and now I strategize. So that was an asset. But back then it was just kind of instigating to kind of get even, because I could convince kids, whether it was my siblings, whether it was kids in school, cousins, it didn't matter. Man, I could convince them to do something that I knew was going to cause trouble, that somebody was going to get caught, and I could disappear, because I would know when we were about to be found out, I'd disappear. And then I wasn't there. So they tried to blame it on me, but I wasn't there. I was like, I wasn't there, right? Play that innocent card. But so it's finding a way, and there's always a different way. So growing up that way and getting through high school, college, I started working, and then I found myself in a little rebel activity that ended up one time, and I was pregnant one time. That's all it takes, right? Well, yeah, you can get pregnant on the first time, and I did. It took me, oh my gosh, close to 5 months before I even mentioned anything to my parents about it, because that wasn't the thing that should be happening to a good little Catholic girl who spent 12 years in parochial school, coming from a big family. And back in those days, it was just not a good thing, right? Well, after the conversation with my parents, my mom says, well, you don't have to get married. Well, you don't tell that to someone who's been a rebel that said, hey, you tell me what not to do. Trust me, I will find a way to do it no matter what. Even if it got me in trouble, even if it caused harm to me, it didn't matter. That's just kind of who I was. And so I did. I got married. And I had sex 2 more times. And guess what happened? I had 2 more kids, right? And it's like, wait a minute, and they were just a year and 4 months and year and 3 months apart. But I had lost my identity. I didn't know who I was anymore. Everything was through association. I became so-and-so's wife, so-and-so's, my kids' mother. I wrote for the newspaper. So I was the lady who wrote for the newspaper. I was the one who did arts and crafts. I was the one who, it's like, I don't even have a name. Oh my gosh. It was devastating. And this was in the early 70s. My first child was born in 70, and then 71, and then 72. Now it's 74. And I'm at a point in my life where something has to change. I was not living my dream. I was not living me. I didn't know who I was anymore. And it was like the only way out that I saw, because I was fighting a lot of depression, was to exit the planet. So I set off one night to do just that, figure out how I was going to leave the planet. And I had I had a conversation with God. Let me tell you, it was it was a good screaming match, but he didn't holler back. It was nothing. It was just me letting off steam, and I had definitely a lot of steam to let off. But because of my intuitiveness, I heard the voice again. I heard that voice say, who's going to take care of your kids if you're not here? Oh, great. So now I have to find another way, because they're all under the age of 5. That's a long time, right? It's like, okay, all right, so how do I find another way to make it different? Because I was not going to continue life the way it was. So I decided I'd make a deal with this voice, whom I was thinking was God. Later I find out in life it was my higher consciousness, right? My own spirit. And it said, start living your life for you and your children. Okay, I can do that. I can do that. And I started finding ways to make money for myself, make money for my kids, and just live that way and really get my act together, because I knew where I was emotionally, that I was not in any way, shape, or form in the position to really take care of my kids in the manner in which I was going to have to, because one of the other agreements, the deals I made with that voice, was I was leaving Iowa and I was getting a divorce. That was a big no-no. But hey, there was a lot of firsts in my life, and I was the first, so it's okay. The only thing I wasn't first at, I was the second child. So what happened at that point? Right? When I started living my life for myself and started building and started really getting my act together. And guess what? That day came. I packed up my little AMC Spirit and took what I needed for the kids and myself, threw them in the back of the car and said, c'est la vie, Iowa, and c'est la vie, dead end marriage, right? And it's like, okay. And I headed to the big city of Denver, Colorado. Right. Farm girl heading to Denver, Colorado. Well, my older sister was living out there, and she's always been, and still today is, my biggest supporters. And I have to give a shout out to Dolores, because she's just always been there for me. Yeah. Okay, let's get back to the story, right? So there's always nice to have someone in your corner all the time, no matter what. So now I'm 79. I moved to Denver, Colorado with my kids. They're 8, 9, and 10. And we have to start a new life. And it's like, okay. So we spent a week there kind of settling in. And I went out, found me a job, I didn't know what I was going to do, right? And I had background doing invoices because I worked in an automobile shop. It was a parts store, and there I learned a lot about how to tear down an engine, right? How to plane heads, how to put pistons together, you name it. I could tear an engine down, put it back together. It was awesome, and I was in outside sales, so I learned a lot about automobiles. Well, 6 months into working in a carpet store, just doing invoicing, I saw an ad in a paper, and it was for a job selling sandpaper to body shops. I figured, oh, what the heck? And it was a commission job, so I took it, and I started building that. Now, I'm in an industry that was a man's world. There was no women in the automotive industry in that side of it. It just wasn't. And we were talking the 80s, okay? Life wasn't that way. Well, I was a pioneer. Again, this was finding another way. And I ended up meeting a gentleman out there on the road who we teased around. We were waiting to get, our tickets signed, and so we could get on. It was in a dealership, and finally the manager came back. We got our tickets signed, but we had talked, and I gave him my business card, which had the business phone number, not mine. There was no cell phones back then. And what he did is he wanted to interact with me, so he called the shop. And it was late, it was after hours, and my boss's son was there, answered the phone, and he says, I will give you her phone, I'll give her your phone number. And so he called me, he says, this guy calls and said, he met you today and he wants to talk to you. I was like, okay, so I called him. And we're in this conversation for about 5 minutes, right? Because he told me his name was William Holden. Well, yeah, you know what? That's a famous actor's name. Okay. But on the phone, he tells me his name is Bill. And I didn't put the two to two together, right? Because I met so many guys out there because it was a man's world. And we talked for about 5 minutes, but we just connected. And then we kind of started dating. And my kids fell in love with him. He knew the situation that was happening where I was at the commission, because I had spent about 7 months building this business, getting paid commission, and finally, the money was starting to roll in better than what it was when I started. And he decides he's going to pull me off there because I did such a good job, right? He was going to turn me loose to go build another clientele and just turn over what I did to some little 18-year-old? Not. And so Bill says to me, start your own business. I'm like, okay, start my own sandpaper business. He says, now I'd done business for myself, writing for the newspapers and, doing my crafts and selling and things like that. But this was like out of my league. And he says, that's okay. I'll help you. I know how to do the books, because he was an entrepreneur. I said, okay. He gives me $1,000 to start this business. Now, for someone who just came off the farm, shall we say, right? I had never seen $1,000 in one spot at one time. Here's these $1,000 bills. Sounds kind of weird, right? But that's true. And I connected, with one of the paint stores who really liked what I was doing, and he says, I'll help you get started, because I couldn't buy wholesale. I couldn't buy from the warehouses because I was just a little wagon jobber me, right? And he says, I'll help you, right? I'll buy what you need. I'll even give you shelves in my store, right? And we still to this day have a very strong friendship. Because you see, the paint stores I was up against, some of them had been around for 50 years, and there were 4 major paint stores in the big metropolis of Denver, Colorado. And my territory broadened. I actually went from Colorado Springs then up to Longmont, which was a long distance apart, shall we say, because it was an hour one direction, an hour another direction, and an hour to get across Denver. So there was a lot of territory to be covered. And I started my own business on $1,000, hauling out sandpaper and a little AMC spirit. And it was 5 months later. Well, actually, it was 3 months later. Well, one of the dealerships said, "Hey, we have a station wagon. We took in on charge, on change and whatever." He says it needs a little work on the fender and the dent. We'll fix all that, and I can get it to you for $400, and we'll just trade it out in sandpaper. Wow! Now I had a big vehicle, right? Right. So that was good because I could add more things, carry more stuff with me. And in 6 months, I bought a new Ram Charger. Oh my gosh, I was so excited, right? It was great. I'd never had a brand new car in my life. It was awesome. But the business was doing well. In less than a year, I was at 6 figures selling sandpaper. Yeah, selling sandpaper. And then I got me a van, and then I actually had 2 girls starting to work for me, in my second year. And we were known as those girls out there. And then I bought my first really big truck. It looks like one of them that the tool guys drive around. It was painted lavender, dark purple stripes, hot pink stripes, orchids on the door, my name up in lights, BZ Distributing, and my phone number. Oh my gosh, it was like, yeah, now we're talking. And I just kept building and building and building. And then, I was starting to get a little burnt out, but working with the guys, and they really protected me. They looked out for me. It was great. And, those friendships just continue even till today. But one of the cool things about that was it started me on my journey into self-healing, into the spiritual aspect of things, because I was taking some classes that I had met from people, with the psychic and the energy healing work and stuff like that. It was awesome. And then I was doing counseling. I saved a lot of marriages, right? And a lot of boyfriend-girlfriend things, because they would come to me for advice. Hey, my wife's doing this and I don't know what to do, right? And so when they started listening to what I was telling them, I just do this and this. It really is simple. Because, hey, we know as women, there's certain things that we want, and it's just that connectedness. So that was the start of my journey. And then in '89, I left the industry, moved to Las Vegas, started up just the detail end of it, because I went into everything. I had details, I had hard parts, I had nuts, bolts, clips. Anything that had to do with an automobile, I was having it. It was on my truck and it was for sale. But when I moved to Las Vegas, just doing the detail aspect of it, I really got involved really deep into crystals and essential oils and the healing arts and the energy healing work. Really, really big, because that was where my true passion was. And it was just amazing. And my kids now, one of them graduated in Denver, and then the second was a senior. And so he wanted to finish his year out, and my daughter went with me to Vegas. Well, all of a sudden, they're all gone. They're all grown up. They have their own jobs. They've been into college. They're working. They're making their own lives. It was great. And then what happens? You get that, what do they call it? Empty nest syndrome. Well, I didn't really have that because I was always too busy with other stuff. But it was impacting my partner, because Bill had, we were still together. We were 18 years. It was great. And it was like, well, what do you do when the kids are all gone? And I was really involved in my energy healing work. And I was traveling, and I come back, and I was traveling, I come back. And it's like, there's got to be a better way. And so here's that voice comes right back and says, get yourself an RV. I did. I went out and bought me a Born Free, which was an RV that was built in Iowa, 12 miles from where I grew up. And I can remember being 5 years old saying, someday I'm going to own one of those. And the day I drove that Born Free RV off the lot, I was in tears, because it took me back to 5 years old. I had it. I got it. So those dreams really do come true. And Bill and I made an arrangement. I mean, we stayed friends and we knew we were holding each other back in our direction we wanted to go. And so we parted as partners, so to speak, and just kind of went in his direction and my direction, but stayed connected because the kids, my kids was his kids. And so being out on the road was another way to become an even better me, to find pieces of me that just kept growing and growing and becoming better and better, right? I was in my element. I had my RV. I was free. I was on the road again because I love driving big equipment. I guess maybe that comes from driving tractors and combines, on the farm. I don't know, but I've always been one that wanted to move. And just setting out adventures and traveling all over the United States, Canada, going overseas, and having that business that could do that for me was amazing, right? So there's always a better way. There's always another way. That's growth. And that's something that never stops. When you're not living, you're dying. And yes, I've gone through a lot of different things. Has it all been fun and games? No, but you know what? That's the part I remember the most. And it's overcoming your obstacles. And that's what I teach people today, is how to overcome those obstacles, how to find that better way. Going from suicide to where I am today. And I have to say thank you to my children, and I do every single day. They were my saving grace. They were my better way. What's your better way? Right? What's your story? Does it begin now? It's always going. There's always room for change. And change needs to turn into transformation, otherwise you'll fall back into those old habits. We teach you how to do that, right? So working in that energy field work, that was my passion, still remains my passion today. And then a couple years ago, I was looking to do virtual because everything seemed to go, what? Online, because now we have internet, we have cell phones, we have technology. Oh my gosh. So here I am, and I'm going to tell you this. I'm 70, and I'm still learning, and I'm still loving it. But in my mind, because I've learned, the mind is powerful. In my mind, I still remain 45, because that was the best time of my life. And I take that with me everywhere I go. Earth years is just a number. What you believe up here is what you are. So moving into that today, learning all this technology, everything that you got to do, with being online, and there's a lot. I'm telling you, there's a lot. But you can do it. All you got to do is say, hey, I'm committed to do it. I'm going to do it. Don't fight it. And another thing that happened, because I was looking to do my courses, my teaching online, I wanted to do something virtually. I wanted to be able to reconnect and connect really strong. And that's something that's gotten lost because of what's going on in the country and in the world with the COVID-19. We've all been separated, socially distanced, as they say, to make it sound nice. Instead of saying, well, we're just going to put you in prison in your own home, right? Okay, same difference. So when you look at it from that perspective, it's like, wow. And I met someone a year and a half ago, and I told him what I wanted to be able to do virtually. So he shows me this gaming platform, and I'm like, are you serious? I'm not going to be jumping around in here in these little avatar cartoon thingies. I want something that's going to be something that I can bring people together in. They can be in front of me. I can do my training. There's a connection. It's in a setting that's comfortable, a setting that's real, not this flying around in space, jumping all over, right? And he goes, okay. And it was early in the virtual reality world for him as well. But January of this year was a turning point. Something different, a different way showed up. He called me and he says, I have your answer. I said, really? Okay. So we go into this virtual reality platform, and it's not avatars jumping around. It's this huge university that he has built out, and I'm thinking, whoa, now we're talking. Okay, got my attention. And we went into the classrooms. We went into the auditorium. I mean, it was like, okay, all right, this is a deal. What do I have to do? Where do I have to go? You know, and so for me to get on the platform, I end up having to invest. And sometimes you do. You need to invest in yourself. So I get myself a computer. I get my headset. I get my gaming mouse. We get in the platform. And we're going and we decide we're going to build a business in here. Let's connect people because this is connection. Now, this is before COVID. This is in January and February. So we started Digital Business International. Woohoo! Right? International. We're global. And we started reaching out and putting together like a chamber group, lead groups, like your BNIs, things like that, to where we could start connecting people from all around the world. And it's like, well, okay, now I'm bored with that. What's next? We got to do more than just that. Let's have a vendor event. My partner, Robert, goes, I don't know anything about vendor events. I said, I do. He's the builder. He's the behind the scenes guy. And oh my gosh, it has taken us to a whole new level. And we were working on that and putting together all the booths and the big screens, you know, stages and everything. And all of a sudden, COVID hits. And now I was starting my show, the Beverly Zimet Show, right? All at the same time. That was the beginning of March. And all of a sudden, it was like everything stopped. Well, our business on the virtual reality world didn't stop. It speeded up. Oh my gosh. And now it's running like, it's going faster than the speed of light. And that can be a part of you. This can be something different for you to get your business back up and running. Because anything you could do out here in this brick and mortar world, you can do and do even better in the virtual reality world. And you don't have to leave your home, and because you can't leave your home. But the neatest thing about the virtual reality world is it brings that distancing back together. Because when you're in there, again, we talk about the power of the mind. The mind says, oh, there's someone right next to me here. Granted, it's a little avatar, but your mind doesn't know the difference because the person's voice is talking. And you're in this conversation as if you were next to that person in real life. The mental health industry has been using virtual reality for the last 4 or 5 years intensively with people to overcome phobias, fears, anxieties. They found another way that worked better than drugs. This is another way. If you're looking to reach out and have a global reach, doesn't matter if you're in the music industry, we can put a band up on stage. Doesn't matter if you're a business and you need a boardroom, we got you covered. You need an event, a convention, we got you covered. You need education, we got you covered. And we have a little guy that's 7 years old that was in watching his dad while we were on the platform. And he's like, can I teach in here? And I said, well, you sure can, right? So schools are coming our way. You know, we're looking at an age of technology. And if we don't meet the children of today, my grandchildren are now having children, great grandkids that they're in school age already, right? They're 3 and 7 and 11 and 13. Are they going to be able to go back in school? Are their parents going to let them go back to the school? Maybe, maybe not. But learning is different than it was way back when I was in school. And I can tell you, that was a long time ago. But technology is real. And you're never too young and you're never too old to learn something new. You just have to say, hey, there's got to be a better way. Yes, there is. Okay, I'm going to get resourceful and I'm going to find that better way. And it's there. It's all right there. So don't be afraid to move from your starting point to your finish point. Moving from the little rebel who fought all through her life to losing her identity, began finding herself after being on the edge of suicide, to here in the virtual reality world? Are you kidding me? From 74 to 2020? My life has been an adventure, and it's not over. It's not over. I'll never quit working. I'll never quit doing, because I don't call it working. I'll never quit doing what I love to do. I am so passionate with it. And it's going to keep on growing. I have something special for you to help you find another way, to help you find your identity, and to help you grow and advance your business. If it's not growing now and you want to revive it or start something all over, now's the time to do it. Reach out. I'm going to leave a phone number up here. Let me see if I can find it. Right, here we go. There's my phone number, 303-359-2199, or email me at bzsolutions with results, because we do have solutions and we get results, at gmail.com. And write these down, because you want to start in the virtual reality world, text me and say, I'm interested in VR, right? You want to know a better way? You want to have your identity? Then just text me identity and we'll get you going. I also want to share with you this little thing right here. This is a course. It's called the Mindset Shift, which is putting the pieces together. That's right. The mindset shift, putting the pieces together, right? And that is a course that a friend of mine had a book, and I have a book, and mine's more of the science. Hers is the daily activity, and we decided to collaborate and find a better way to help and grow others to find their identity, but to be able to put it in their day-to-day life, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. So it's bringing that mind shift and putting those pieces together. So moving from the mind to the heart, which is going to be the longest journey and probably the most challenging journey you'll ever go on, from your mind to your heart. But trust me, once you start moving into that, you're not going to want to ever do anything different. So text mindset to 888-527-7146, or you can just go to the website bit.ly/mindset journey. And we have a 6 weeks course for you that, because you're here today, we're going to give you $200 off. That's right, $200. So it's normally $497. You'll be getting it for $297, right? And you're going to get an autographed book from Patricia, and from myself, right? That's what's going to be so much fun. So if you're ready to find a different way, to move from where you are to where you really want to be, find your identity, find your purpose, and learn new things, because when you're learning new things, the neural pathways in your brain start to grow and you build new neural pathways, right? And that keeps you young and that keeps you going. Can anybody out there relate? You want to be younger? I'm 45. Guess what? All my kids are older than me now. What about that? There you go. It's the mindset. So with that, I'm going to call this a final. And I want to say thank you to the Women's Empowerment Summit 2020 for giving me this opportunity to spend this time with each and every one of you and help you on your journey to finding that best you that you can be, right? So find yourself and you find everything else. It's waiting for you. And if you want to have a little assistance, make sure you go to this website or you go to that phone number and or just plain text me, right? And that number is, where is it? Okay, it's right here. So text me at 303-359-2199 or email bzsolutions with results, and let's get you in a better way, in a better direction of self-identity, self-purpose, and creating your destiny. Thank you all for listening. I love each and every one of you. And stay tuned for 8 more days of awesome speakers that are going to share with you their F word. Yeah. Confidence is where it's at. Let's build that confidence starting today. Bye, everyone.